from the Wild Wild West, Tapped Out Wrestling Network Studios brings to you Shooting with Eric Stanton.
Hello and welcome to Shooting with Eric Stanton. I am, as always, Eric Stanton. I have a full clip and it's time to start shooting. It's been another week. The NFL playoffs are going on. New England's going again. You know, the normal stuff. You get tired of seeing the same people win. We're rooting for Atlanta. You know, kind of been watching a lot of WCW lately. Watched Swole School. You know, I'm kind of feeling hot Atlanta. You know, see, maybe Matty Ice can pull off, you know, a little sneak win. You know, you get tired of seeing your John Cena's, your Hulk Hogan's, your Ultimate Warriors, your Tom Brady's. You want a fresh face. You want someone new. So hopefully I, Mr. Eric Stanton, will be rooting for Matt Ryan and the Dirty Birds to pull it out here in about 2 weeks. You really get tired of seeing the same people win. It gets old. You think WWE would have figured that out by now? Considering, you know, they kind of put WCW out of business on that very sole basis that people got tired of watching the NWO dominate everybody. I don't know. Who knows? You never know. It can always flip itself. You know. So, we'll see. And we got NXT Takeover is happening this weekend. That's very exciting. In San Antonio. I could have made the show live, but price-wise and scheduling, like it was notified like way too short notice for me to be able to get time off of my day job, because I do have a day job. It's not my only job, despite what people think. I know I'm very good at this. I know you all love listening to hear my wonderful opinions on TNA and New Japan and NXT, but it doesn't pay the bills. Not yet. Maybe one day. We'll get there. You know, as a team, we'll get there. But, so, I really wanted to go to Takeover San Antonio. It was way too last minute that I found out about it. And, like, if I were to try to get tickets, I wouldn't be able to get them till Friday. And then the show's on Saturday. And then I would have to take off of work. And it's a lot. It's a lot. So what I'm gonna shoot for though, I will shoot for Takeover next year in New Orleans with WrestleMania weekend, because I'm sure there'll be a Takeover in New Orleans. And that sounds exciting. So I'll probably try to catch that. That would be good for me. So hopefully we'll see what stars we have awaiting us when we get to that point. Who knows? Maybe I might even be at WrestleMania. You never know. You know. We'll see what it's looking like at the card, because I'm not overly excited about the prospects of this year's WrestleMania. And I know Royal Rumble's this weekend. I don't have high hopes for it, because the last 3 have been terrible. Or the Rumbles have been disappointing. For obvious reasons, most of which the company fighting the audience. Stop fighting the audience. Give people what they want. Just a little bit. You know, can't we have nice things? Just a little bit. Come on, Vince. Stop being you and give us some nice things. We have nice, pretty new toys. We have Seth Rollins. We have Kevin Owens. We have Dean Ambrose. We have Bray Wyatt, who's not even an indie darling. He's a complete WWE product, son of a WWE second generation, third generation. Come on, man. Throw us a bone here. We'd happily take a Bray Wyatt victory. Wouldn't nobody complain about that. AJ Styles versus Bray Wyatt. Actually, that would be a really good storyline. I could get behind that. AJ Styles and Bray Wyatt. I could really get behind that. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm still disappointed that nothing came of the Bray Wyatt and Triple H stare down last year. That was a moment for me last year that I was just like, oh, I know this doesn't mean anything, but it's awesome. I really marked out a lot, because Triple H has that he has the stare down. That's his thing. He's really good at the stare down. He's just got that really intense, you think you can, I bury people. And it was a really good stare down. It was one of the moments that really made me mark out last year. So, and then nothing happened with it, which was very sad, and I was very disappointed, but it's okay. It's okay. Everything will be okay. Anyway, so this week we're just gonna I know I said I was gonna do NXT, and I know the show is also being uploaded late. That is my fault. My internet was having trouble the night before, so usually I record on Sundays, just for those who don't know. I feel like that's probably pretty obvious because it allows me to get through because I cover shows that like NXT's on Wednesday, New Japan could post at any time, TNA's on Thursday, so it's just more beneficial for me to usually record on Saturday or Sunday. So, but obviously that's not happening this week because my internet was down. So I decided, well, I will just record on Monday, and I ended up spending Sunday night just kind of relaxing. Really, that's kind of all I did. Just relaxed, played some video games with the wife, because that's how we do on a Sunday, and just took it easy. So, but this week I know I said I was gonna recap NXT because I've like missed a month of it, and I'm not gonna do that again this week. I am actually gonna look forward to NXT Takeover since it's Saturday. We're gonna go over the card, predictions and ideas, and then I have some more New Japan to discuss. I watched, just because I seen it posted where I could watch it, and they had the first day, or the first night, or first show of their Fantastica Mania 2017, which is a show that New Japan does in conjunction with CMLL out of Mexico. So you had a lot of CMLL stars versus, or in conjunction with, and also versus New Japan stars. Really exciting. I got to see a lot of faces that I'm not overly familiar with. There's some guys that I know that were in there, that there was a lot of guys there. I was just like, okay, I know him. Then there was a couple in there that was just like, I don't know who that is. So it was a pretty good show. It's only the first night that I've watched so far. I know there's like 3 or 4 nights or 3 or 4 events, whatever you want to call it. And some of the later events look really awesomely built. This first one was just kind of like a, I don't know, like just kind of setting it to a low sizzle. It's like just a little teaser of like what kind of talents they were going to have at this show. So that's cool. So it is a good starting off point. I was really happy. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm getting excited. I'm getting ahead of myself. Gotta calm down. Anyway, NXT Takeover San Antonio. I'm here. I got it. Focus. Tunnel vision. So we have Roderick Strong versus Andrade Cien Almas, who I am a big fan of. As if you've been listening to the show, you know I'm kind of feeling Cien Almas. The guy's good. Like his gimmick, he's a better Alberto Del Rio. And from the looks of it, it looked like he was going to start a feud with Cedric Alexander, and that it kind of just didn't go anywhere. Well, Cedric kind of went to 205 Live, is what really kind of happened. But so it's good to see that Cien didn't kind of get dropped and lost in the shuffle, because that could have very easily happened. And it looks like, between him and Strong, either one of them can still make something out of it. So here's to hoping that Andrade doesn't just do the job for Strong, who just debuted at the Tag Team Classic, tagging with, who did he tag with? I forget. Anyway, he tagged with somebody. It wasn't Bobby Roode, because that was Ty Dillinger. Man, who was it that he tagged? That's gonna bother the crap out of me. Anyway, so he debuted there. So now he's facing Andrade Cien Almas. So I'm hoping Cien's not gonna do the job for Strong even though it's probably what's going to happen. I really wanted to see Andrade kind of get built up because he's good. And hopefully if he does do the job for Strong, hopefully he doesn't go anywhere after. I'm kind of hoping there's a dirty finish there because Cian's gone very heel lately. Strong looks like he is being built as a baby and not as a heel, or he's just kind of like a no gimmick needed and let the fans decide so far. So here's the hoping, right? Fingers crossed. Then we have from Sanity, Eric Young taking on Ty Dillinger, who I did happen to catch this week's NXT, where, you know, they offered him the jacket and like, hey Ty, you know, you can come join us and, you know, we teach you how to be a perfect 10. And it's just like, y'all look like y'all haven't showered in a while. So I think I'm going to keep doing my own thing. So I was really concerned with after Bobby Roode, it was like, well, where does Ty go from here? I was really hoping he was going to pop up in the Battle Royal. I thought it was a good opportunity for him to eliminate The Miz and go to SmackDown, because you could use more good hands. And I'd much rather see him on SmackDown than Raw. Truth be told, I'd rather see Fandango and Tyler Breeze on SmackDown than Raw. Really, in general, I'd just rather see Raw's roster on SmackDown than Raw. I think that's a fair trade. I'm gonna do that. I'm down. Is any objections? Anybody? Anyone? No? Alright. So, yeah. Anyway, so Ty Dillinger, Eric Young. Ty is definitely, unfortunately, doing the job again, making Eric Young look good, which is great. Love Eric Young, great worker, great hand. Ty Dillinger is unfortunately found his niche at, you know, putting over incoming guys with established names. So I really hope he ends up going up onto SmackDown soon. That's really where I'd like to see him. I keep saying like it's a foregone conclusion he's going to SmackDown. That's my hope and dream, that he goes to a place where he can be utilized and he won't lose some of that momentum that he's gained over the last couple weeks or shows. Yeah. Takeovers. So, but I'm glad they didn't, you know, he didn't just go out and he was done and that was it. And they've kind of managed to keep him going. And who knows, maybe after this, they'll find some way to like push him forward. So, here's hoping. Ty Dillinger, like him. Good stuff. Then you'll have the fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's title. Peyton Royce versus Nikki Cross versus Billie Kay versus Asuka. So you got Peyton and Billie Kay, who are obviously like their friends. They're Emma and Dana Brooke. Only one of them isn't like built like a brick shit house. So I'm really hoping that this doesn't turn into this is how we screw the belt off of Asuka. Because it feels like if Billie Kay or Peyton Royce win the belt, it feels like the only way that they can justify it is by doing it this way. And in my opinion, where I stand as a booker, as a talent, as the things that I've done in the past, is if you can't justify somebody winning it in a one-on-one match, like even if just like Billie Kay, say Billie Kay's on the outside, and Billie Kay grabs Asuka by the foot, and Peyton Royce beats her with like just that level of shenanigans. If she can't win that way, or you can't justify her winning that way, then don't do it this way. She needs to be capable of winning on her own. Because what happens is, Asuka's gonna get a rematch, or demand a rematch, and you can't keep hiding the new champion, Peyton or Billie, in these fatal 4-way matches where like anything can happen. If they're gonna do anything, I hope it's Nikki Cross. If anyone's gonna take the belt. Because Nikki has been a little spitfire. And I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I like her style. She beats the shit out of the guy's insanity. Like they're just trying to hold this little firecracker, and she's just beating the shit out of Eric Young and shit. Oh, I dig it. I dig it. I like what you're doing, girl. You keep doing you. Because I like it. And it's looking good. But yeah, you know, she's been a lot of fun to watch. Even my wife loves that character. She's just like, oh my gosh, she's so adorable. What did she say? She looked like an angry Smurf. There's like a little angry Smurf just coming to attack everybody. So I really look forward to a Nikki Cross Asuka match. I think that would be really good. Cause so far Nikki Cross is the only one that's come across as being capable of, you know, fighting Asuka's, intensity, athleticism, strong style, hard kicks, whatever you want to say. Nikki Cross seems like the only one right now that can viably have a legitimate contest against Asuka. Is just the way that it seems to me. Whereas Peyton Royce and Billie Kay are just a poor women's version of Emma and Dana Brooke. So I'm really hoping Peyton and Billie Kay do not come out of this with the belt. That's my hope. Either I'm down for Asuka defending or Nikki Cross winning. However they want to do that, because so far they haven't booked her improperly. I like the way she's been booked. And I think that would say a lot for their booking style for in a stable full of like 3 guys and a woman, for the woman to win a belt first. I think that would say a lot for her and how they view her in that stable. Cause Eric Young is great. Eric Young doesn't need a belt to validate his status. We all know he's good. Last year he had that really good match against Samoa Joe when Joe was the champion and just won the belt from Balor. And they were moving on from the Balor thing. And Young came in and had a really good match with Joe, and it's well known that those two have a good history together. If you do watch TNA, I'm sure you're familiar with, Samoa Joe's 2007 promo that he cut, where he basically shit all over Scott Hall for not making it to a pay-per-view, and, you know, he's like, well, I got a guy here that's hungry, he's ready to get out here and get after it, and he's not making millions of dollars, and it was Eric Young. So these guys have a long history together as being very clearly friends, and I think that was it probably meant a lot to Joe to have Eric come in and be his first title defense against someone that wasn't Balor. So, you don't need Eric Young to win a belt first. I think Nikki Cross winning the women's title would do a lot for her. Not to mention who she's beating for it if she beats Asuka. So that validates Nikki a lot if she comes in and she can be the one to beat Asuka. Or even if she beats the other two, leading to the next takeover where you get the one-on-one Nikki Cross versus Asuka. So, you know, the Japanese buzzsaw head kicker lady that's beautiful and dangerous and has me with conflicting emotions versus the Scottish firecracker angry Smurf that also gives me conflicting emotions. I think I'm in love with 2 women. Yeah, I think I'm in love with 2 women. 3 women. Sorry. 3 women. I love my wife too. I hope she doesn't hear this. So then we have the NXT Tag Team title match, which will pit the Authors of Pain versus #DIY, which just goes back to, you know, back when the tag team tournament was going on. I kind of predicted if the Authors of Pain went on to win, this was their line into the tag team title division. So that's where I called it. I booked it 4 months ago or 3 months ago. Something like that. It's been a couple months. At least 2+. Anyway, it was good. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. Sometimes predictable booking is not bad booking. Like, a lot of people want to believe that, like, oh, well, you know, you saw it coming from a mile away. Well, no, that's just sensible storytelling. That's just, this is the picture that we're painting. Yes, you can see it now, but that's okay. Because if you've ever watched someone draw or paint, especially somebody that does it upside down, you don't always get it right at the beginning. You're looking at it doesn't quite make sense, you're just kind of confused, and then it starts to come together, and then you're kind of like, okay, alright. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing now. Okay, cool. So then you just stand back and you appreciate what's going on, because now you know where it's headed. And you can do that with sensible storytelling. Especially when it comes to wrestling. If you can just at least sit back and and once you realize where things are going, then you can start to enjoy the ride. because so much of it is figuring out where you're going in the first place. And it didn't take, like, even back in the Attitude Era, there was a lot of storylines where it was very easy to figure out where it was going once the picture was painted. You know, when, after a couple weeks of Austin and McMahon, you started to figure out very quickly, like, okay, well, this is the drunk Texan redneck badass versus, you know, the corporate blue collar Connecticut millionaire. And it was like, alright. So after a couple weeks, you know where this is going. These two are gonna, you know, they're gonna keep at each other's throats. Vince is gonna try to keep the belt off of Austin, and Austin's gonna whip everybody's ass like he does. It didn't take long to figure out the picture. Then it was just enjoy the ride. And boy, what a ride that was. So now we're at this point where it's like, okay, when we know where the ride's going, so now we can just sit back and enjoy the ride. Which a lot of times, I think that's where the problem comes in with WWE is, you get things where, like, sometimes they're just too obvious, and they're obvious in a sense that it's not sensible, it's just bad. Like, when WWE decides to get behind a guy, like on the main brand, for instance, when they decide to get behind someone, like, say, Roman. Now, Roman is not a bad in-ring worker. I want to clarify this before I ever say anything about Roman, before anybody ever hears anything. The man is a good in-ring performer. When he had his WrestleMania match with Brock Lesnar, I said then to all of my friends, if he can if the match is good, then that tells you everything you need to know about him as an in-ring competitor. And it was good. It was a good match. It was actually more hard-hitting than I ever expected. Roman busted his lip, like Brock busted Roman's lip, like, right at the open of the match. And he powered through it, and they had a good match, and I honestly enjoyed the match. I'm so glad Rollins came out and cashed in and won, and I mean, that was the perfect ending. That was the right book. But it's one of those things where, like, when WWE gets behind a guy and says, okay, well, this is the guy. Lately, over the last, like, decade, since the John Cena. Because John Cena has the Hulk Hogan thing, right? Where they've booked him into the Superman role. Can't nobody stop him. He's dominated everybody for so long. They're like, oh, he loses all the time. Like, no, he loses, like, the first match, and then he gets he wins the rematch, and then he wins the next, you know, the blow off. And it's a formula. It's very formulaic. It's a very 3-month formula. You know, or 3 pay-per-view formula. You know where it's coming. Like, it's not shocking anybody. So when you've seen guys like Rusev and Bray Wyatt get thrown to John Cena during a lot of people call it the road to WrestleMania, from Royal Rumble to WrestleMania, I call it the John Cena push killer season. Cause it's like, okay, who's doing good? Oh, Rusev, you're doing good? You've been holding that Intercontinental title for like a year? That's cool. Or the US title. It was the US title. John Cena's all like, that's a nice title you got there. It's a nice push you got there. I'm John Cena. You can't see me. And what happened? Rusev got destroyed, and he kind of floundered for a little bit after that. I mean, Rusev won the first match, and then Cena did the thing, and he beat him at WrestleMania, and he was the champion and the US champion. And the idea was that, oh, well, Cena was gonna legitimize the US title. Cena legitimizing the US title is about as legitimate as him legitimizing the world title. Just because he held it forever did not legitimize it. It just got very boring to watch. I mean, I can imagine fans after so long got tired of seeing Bruno Sammartino win for 8 years. I'm pretty sure they were ready for somebody to beat his ass. Nobody wants to watch somebody win for 8 years. Nobody wants to watch somebody win for 3 years. Or 15. You know, like, the difference between a Ric Flair 16-time world champion and John Cena 15-time is Ric Flair was entertaining in the ring. John Cena is not a bad worker. I will not say he's bad in the ring. He's good in the ring. He's awkward. He looks awkward, but he's good. He's solid. He's a solid in-ring competitor. There's a few things where I will nitpick where there's a lot of times where he doesn't trust I'm getting off the topic. I've gotten so far off topic. See? This is what happens. Anyway, the point that I was trying to make is when WWE gets behind somebody on main roster, is they give them that Superman push. And you don't want that for everybody. Austin never had a Superman push. Austin was constantly getting arrested and jumped and kicked out of the arenas, and they made his life a living hell. The only difference is he didn't take it. He'd always find some clever way to come back. And it was funny because you'd think he was gone, and then he was back, and then he was raising hell. And if he didn't end the show where he came back and raised hell, then he was coming back next week to raise hell. And it was even funnier because you had a whole week to sit there and be like, I wonder what Austin's gonna do next Monday night. This shit's gonna be wild. But that's my point. Dean Ambrose won the belt, and they put it on him and put him as the top guy on SmackDown, and they started booking him like Cena. They booked him in the same essence that they would Cena, where he just started kicking everybody's ass. Whereas up until that point, he was getting his ass kicked by everybody. So it's just like, there's no consistency with the characters and what they're doing. They just flip that switch, and it's not natural. It's not fun. It's not good to watch. It's very obvious in a bad way. Now, this Authors of Pain and DIY storytelling, it was a very obvious in a good way. The Authors of Pain won the tag team tournament. They looked good. They came out of it looking good. Now they're going into Takeover with a title shot because they've dominated people in the time between takeovers. They've beaten the other teams. They're still looking good. TM61's still looking very competitive. They're looking like they're ready to go. They just had a match with a Revival not that long ago. So, you can kind of see all the parts working to where we may not get there yet, but this is where we're heading. This is where we could head. We have these things in place and we're ready to go. And if we decide we need to pull out, then we can. No big deal. So no harm, no foul. There's nothing wrong. Essentially it's just having a backup plan and being ready to roll with it if need be. And if not, no big deal. Then you move them on to something else and you keep them wrestling other people. And DIY can always go back to a rematch with a Revival. They can always feud with not Authors of Pain, Sanity. And they got that other tag team that's come along. The ones that impressed me in the tournament. I don't remember their name. I saw them in a still image. I hadn't seen the episode where they were out, but it was them two big guys and I was really impressed with them. Anyway. They're not ready yet. You don't want to put them in the title picture. But still, you got options. The tag team division's doing a lot better than the women's because up until Nikki Cross's debut and her subsequent good booking, there was like nobody that was even close to remotely close to being ready to take on Asuka except for Ember Moon, and then that would have been face versus face, and you don't really often want to do that. I'm not an advocate for, a good guy versus a good guy unless it's a rub. And people say, well, what do you mean, good guy versus good guy on a rub? My best example is Goldberg versus DDP. DDP had the streak, or Goldberg had the streak. This was in WCW. Nobody had beaten Goldberg. And then they build this, really big build up to Halloween Havoc. And it was going to be Diamond Dallas Page versus Goldberg. And the entire time, DDP was just I'm not scared. I'm not scared of Goldberg. I can beat him. I've found his weakness, this, that, and the other. Anyway, the whole point that I'm getting to is that if DDP had beat Goldberg, he would have been the second big star that they needed at the time. Because they really did. They didn't have anybody as a face, as the top guy, that could have been a top guy yet, outside of DDP. DDP was ready. And if the only person that could have beaten Goldberg was another good guy, then that absolved him of the loss. The loss wouldn't have fucking mattered. If the only other person that could beat him was your only other babyface good guy. If the only person that can beat Superman is Batman, then it's not that bad. That's fine, because who else can beat Batman? So again, it goes back to, if the only person that could beat Goldberg at the time was DDP, then no big deal. And then, you got away from the streak. And then you could have, feuded him, anyway, that's my point. With baby versus baby, it needs to be the one of them putting over the other. The Ultimate Warrior Hulk Hogan. The only reason that happened was that way Hulk Hogan could put over the Ultimate Warrior. I mean, that's why you do that, is to say, hey, look, this guy's good, and it validates him, but it validates me because the only person that could really beat me straight up was the only other good number one good guy or number two good guy, and that never makes the guy losing bad. It never makes him look bad. It's like, okay, well, yeah. I mean, the only other guy that beat him was that guy. It's fine. And then you want it, that's a good build-up, because eventually you can come back to that match. Not right away. You don't want to drag that storyline out. So you come back to it way later down the line. Like at a WrestleMania or a Starrcade situation, where it's just like, you know, you've built Goldberg back up, he's beaten everybody, he beat Hogan, he beat Nash, you know, he beat Luger, Giant, whoever, and all these people, and then you're leading into Starrcade like, DDP, you beat me, I want my rematch. I want that loss back. You're my only loss and I want it back. And that's your storyline. And you roll with that right into a Starrcade. People would have loved it. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare you, because I won't believe you. Anyway, then we get the main event of the night, Bobby Roode versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't think Bobby Roode's going to win. I think Nakamura's going to pull it out. I think it's too soon. Of course, I said the same thing with Joe, and Joe beat him, and then he went and won it back in Osaka. But there's no NXT Osaka coming up anytime soon. So, I'm predicting Shinsuke Nakamura. Did I do predictions for? I said what I wanted to happen. Yeah, I guess that counts. Who I want to win. You know, I want DIY to win over the Authors of Pain. I think it's too soon for them to lose the belts just yet. You can drag that feud out longer. Yeah, Ty doesn't need to win over. Yeah, Ty doesn't need to win over Eric. Eric could use the win over Ty. I just wish it wasn't. Roderick is probably going to get the win on Andrade unless Andrade cheats to progress the storyline and keep that one going, which hopefully they do. Because I hate seeing good homebred guys losing. Like, Roderick's not homebred, Eric Young's not homebred. Ty Dillinger and Andrade are WWE, well, mostly WWE produced guys. So, it's just one of those where, like, I would rather see, if Andrade wins, it needs to be dirty. So, but yeah, I don't think Bobby Roode's gonna win. I believe Nakamura is gonna defend, and he's gonna be successful, and they're gonna continue to do it. I think there's gonna be some shenanigans. I'm sure there'll be shenanigans. You know, foot on the rope, or, you know, just not a clean win. I don't think it's gonna be a clean victory. Unless they plan to move somebody up soon, like Royal Rumble soon. And I'm not gonna lie, a Bobby Roode Royal Rumble debut, I'd be fine with it. I'd be completely fine with it. Especially if it led to a WrestleMania Bobby Roode versus AJ Styles to really stick it to TNA. Oh hey, you remember your two guys that you've had for like over a decade? They're gonna headline WrestleMania now. Suck it, nerd. That would be the ultimate stick it to TNA. That would be some funny stuff. Love to see that. I'd pay for that. I'd absolutely pay for that. Anyway, so now we're gonna move on. New Japan. We got the Fantastica Mania 2017. Now, bear with me on some of these names. They got Hanare and Soberano Jr. Take on Jado and Raziel. Soberano, the match was good. It was a little slow at first, but then they tagged in Soberano, or they didn't tag him in. You gotta remember, this is a cross promotional event with CMLL, so all the matches were held under Lucha Rules. And in Lucha Rules, if a guy gets dumped to the outside, then the partner can jump in. No big deal. Completely fine. So, it's one of those situations where you're like, oh, they just threw him over the top rope to the outside, and the next thing you know, the other guy's, you know, just jumped in and kicks the other one in the stomach, and you're like, whoa, where's the tag, bro? And you're like, oh yeah, Lucha Rules, gotcha. Yeah, so there was a whole lot of that for the first couple matches where I'm just like, wait, yeah, right. I'm with you. I got it. So anyway, he hits this really nice, flippy springboard into the ring. I was really impressed, liked it. Like, he just jumps over the top, hits it was weird. You have to watch it. I don't know how to explain it to where it's gonna be accurate. It was a really cool springboard. So, but he tries to show off and gets laid out by Jado. Jado ain't having none of that shit. Then they have a couple high spots, typical lucha stuff. Important. Yeah, I mean, it's just important to remember that this is lucha, so there's going to be a lot of high spots. So, and then if anybody dives out of the ring, not just if they get thrown out of the ring, if they get, dive out of the ring, like a suicide dive or a suicide, plancha or anything like that, it's the next guy's in. Then, so Silverado Jr. picks up the win for his team, and it was a good match. It was a good starting match. It brings you into it. It was definitely there to put over Silverado Jr. He was definitely the highlight of the match. Then you get Ifisto versus Gato versus Okamura with Mima Shimoda, and they took on Jushin Thunder Liger, Stuka Jr., and Tiger Mask 4. I did do my research. I knew it wasn't the new Tiger Mask, so I had to figure out which one it was. It's Tiger Mask 4. So, which I love Tiger Mask 4. He's one of my favorites. He's the one I saw as a teenager. I love Tiger Mask 4. So, and the outfit he had for this show it was red and green and white, so it had the Mexican flag thing, cause they're tagging with, Stuka, who's out of CMLL. And I was just really digging his look. Tiger Mask 4 really came all out. He had the Mexican flag color scheme. It was looking good. He was looking like pimp fresh. Like a pimp named Slickback, smooth fresh. So, Tiger Mask 4, I see you, bro. You got game. Anyway, looked great. There's a lot of choreographed spots. And really it's a lot of choreographed spots from guys that are 30-year veterans in the business. And a lot of these guys are on the tail ends of their careers, and they're still doing this high-flying jazz. And, well, it was smooth. That was a good match. Really liked that match. They had a comedy spot that I wasn't feeling too much, because it really took away from the action. They have all three bad guys just powder to the outside, and then they try to get back in the ring, and all three of them trip on the bottom rope, and it was just eh. I mean, it's funny, but it's not what you expect from, these guys. Jushin Thunder Liger, Tiger Mask, Guido, Okamura. You're just are you sure you guys should be doing this spot? It's fine. Anyway, Stuka Jr. gets the pinfall. Another CMLL guy gets a pinfall victory, 2 in a row. But then, it all turns around when my guys, my favorites out of Japan, Los Ingobernables de Japan, Evil and Sanada, take on Blue Panther Jr. and David Finlay. Which, let's be honest, I'm not even gonna give the highlights first. I'm just gonna say it. Los Ingobernables de Japan wins the match. Because, fuck yeah, they do. Evil and Sanada are good. I really like Evil and Sanada. They're probably 2 of my favorites outside of Naito. Anyway, so it was a good match. A lot of fast action. A lot of hard hitting. I mean, it's Dave Finlay, Evil, and Sanada. These guys were hitting hard. And then you got Blue Panther Jr. just flying everywhere. So this was the match I was waiting for. This was my favorite match that I saw, honestly. Finlay and Sanada go after each other a lot in this match. And it's pretty badass. They beat the shit out of each other, honestly. It was good stuff. But in the end, Los Ingobernables takes the pinfall. I'm pretty sure they pinned Dave Finlay, too. So, yeah. Then you get Dragon Lee and Titan defeat Los Ingobernables de Japan. Bushi and Hiromu Takahashi, lose to Dragon Lee and Titan in what was a really short match. It didn't last long at all. I think it was maybe 6 or 7 minutes. It was definitely the shortest match of the contest, and I was like, what? It threw me off at how quick the match was over. If you went to the bathroom, it would have been done by the time you got out the bathroom. So, it wasn't really much to say because not much happened in it. Then you get Barbaro Cavernario. I'm sorry, I know I butchered that name. And Los Guerreros Laguneras, which is Euphoria and Ultimo Guerrero, take on Kushida and Sky Team. lot of back and forth action. Sky Team was badass. They were really kicking ass. Kushida's great as always. But it was good to get back to that fast paced action. You kinda had a down match with Dragon Lee and Titan versus Bushi and Takahashi. You had the really good match with Evil and Sanada versus Panther Jr. and Dave Finlay. So this was a good match to pick the pace back up. So, but in the end, the CMLL guys pick up the win over Kushida and Sky Team, which is fine. It's fine, no complaints. I'm not complaining. I did really like Sky Team, and I think this is the first time I've ever seen Sky Team, and I was really impressed with them. Good stuff, they were really good. Now there was 2 more matches in this, and I unfortunately could not get to those 2 matches, just because the week was really busy for me. And I've been taking night classes, so I was unable to get to these last 2 matches. It's really cut down the amount of time I've had to watch wrestling. So I'm really having to squeeze it in now. So I sadly did not get to the last 2 matches, and I will get to them and get back to you guys with those. And I am sorry for that, but things come up. I'm sure you'll all understand real life happens, but so I know the main event had Tanahashi in it and versus Okada and like in another 3-on-3 match because it's a lucha thing. So they're pretty much all 3-on-3. But anyway, we're gonna do something. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. But so, like, looking on the bright side of things, fan questions are back. We ain't done fan questions since December. I'm so sorry, but we are back. Your questions are back, and I'm gonna answer them. And it doesn't matter what topic it is. I got you, bros. And broettes. Got you all. Anyway, first question. What are your predictions for the Royal Rumble? James and Virginia. Don't have a clue. I haven't even seen the card yet. I'm just hoping it's going to be good. So hopefully no Cena or Lesnar or Goldberg Rumble victory. I don't want to see that. Really hope that doesn't happen. I don't want to see Owens lose the belt at Rumble and like you see Owens lose the belt at Rumble and the next thing you know the world title is Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg or some stupid crap like that. I don't want to see that. I'm just hoping the show's gonna be good. Like I said, I don't know the card. I haven't been watching Raw. Honestly, I haven't really been watching SmackDown. Just everybody tells me it's great. So, I have seen highlights of SmackDown. I lie. I have seen, like certain promos, vignettes. I have been keeping up a little bit. I haven't been watching whole shows, which I need to at some point because I do have access to it on Hulu. But, I have no pre-Rumble expectations other than just give me a good show. So hopefully with such a low bar, they can kind of, at least pick I guess there is some standard there actually because like the last 3 years have been terrible. I have ended all 3 shows with just being like, So here's the hoping, right? So that's my prediction for the Royal. I have no prediction. I hope it's going to be a good show. So Jason in Georgia wants to know, could Raw become the 3rd most watched show for WWE? That's unlikely. It's unlikely. The ratings may drop a little bit, but really once the ratings stay down long enough and SmackDown goes over it, there's no way they're gonna let Raw fall below NXT. There's just no way. Especially since, they can draw 2 million viewers on TV, and I'm pretty sure the network's still, like, at 1.5 million, so there's no way it falls below NXT. And I feel like after enough time of losing to SmackDown, they'll at least put in a little bit more effort to make it more tolerable to bring back the audience. Especially plus the playoffs are going to be ending. There's a lot of feeling at this time of year between, the late football season and playoffs and the Super Bowl that, late, until the playoffs actually. In the late football season, there's always the Monday Night Football cuts into the ratings. So we'll see what happens. Usually Vince does not panic this time of year when Raw's numbers go down. He usually attributes it to football. So, but it's extremely unlikely that Raw ever falls below viewership of NXT. Just because they have a much wider base audience to reach, just being on USA Network. Michael in England asks, will WWE's UK involvement hurt the UK wrestling scene? Oh yeah, it's absolutely gonna hurt it. I mean, there's no doubt about that at all. It's absolutely gonna hurt the UK wrestling, because what's gonna happen is there's actually already talks of, you know, these guys can't wrestle these guys, or these guys can't lose to these guys, or, you know, they can't do podcasts, or they can't do this. Like, there was a couple UK guys, they were pulled off of certain podcasts, and now they're having to be approved for certain whatever interviews, like BBC, this, that, and the other. If you think that WWE's not gonna make sure that their guys aren't losing to, you're gonna see anyone that WWE has involved with WWE UK or whatever show that they're trying to build that off into, and dealing with Progress and ICW, which both book Drew Galloway, who works for TNA. I guarantee you're gonna see some money be lost if anybody that WWE's contracting with loses to Drew Galloway. Pete Dunne loses to Drew Galloway, that's gonna be a pissed off Vince McMahon. So yeah, they're absolutely gonna affect the UK indie wrestling scene. They already are. I mean, it's not huge at the moment, but they are. Now, I have heard rumor that Pete Dunne is here in the States, and he's flown in. Boy, if I see a bruiserweight in the Royal Rumble, I'm gonna be a happy motherfucker, I ain't gonna lie. That's exciting, because I like that guy. But I have heard that him and Tyler Bate are stateside, or reported to be stateside. So, well, let me find out. They're gonna have some bruiserweight in the Royal Rumble. But yeah, it's absolutely gonna affect the UK scene. At least the promotions that deal with WWE, or signed to deal with them, or signed to be on the network. And you're gonna have to, I'm telling you, Drew Galloway is not gonna be able to stay working for those companies, because he's only gonna be able to work with certain people. Grado, they're not gonna let anybody lose to Grado. WWE's never gonna let any talent contracted by them lose to TNA talent. It's not gonna happen. Bet on it. I'd put money on that bet. Now, you call me a liar. I'd put money on it. So yeah, expect that to the scene to change. Expect some faces to disappear, or WWE money's gonna disappear, because I mean, nobody's gonna turn away. You know, those indie promotions, like they've probably done fine for themselves to this point, but to have WWE paying you for talent, no businessman is gonna give up that money and still be and your only condition that you have to meet is, you know, these certain people can't lose, or they can't lose to these certain people. Yeah, it's gonna affect the show a little bit. It's gonna affect it. And that's not even to say it how long before they decide, well, we don't want any of our contracted talent working for WCPW. Because, like, while they're not on the same scale as TNA, they built their viewership off of being a WWE-based news source. So, we'll see how that affects, because there was like one of the few major indie UK promotions that was not promoted on the UK tournament show. ICW was, Progress was, I think another one was, but I can't remember the name of that one. I know for sure ICW and Progress were. So, but anyway. So, it's that time of the week. And the show always has to come to an end. But, there's always ways the show doesn't have to end. You can still talk to me. You can still chat me up. You can still hit me up and ask me questions, because I love talking wrestling. Ask my wife. She will tell you that she doesn't hear enough of it. When I first met, just to give you retrospect, when I first met this woman, she had never seen wrestling in her life. Like, maybe as a little kid, like once or twice Hulk Hogan with her dad or something, but like nothing, right? Now, this woman is a connoisseur of indie wrestling. She knows wrestling major history moments, WCW, the Attitude Era. She ain't seen none of it, but she knows all about all these important moments and heard all the backstage stories, because I watched countless amounts of hours of shoot interviews and WWE's Legends of Wrestling roundtables. I love watching that stuff. I love listening to those guys talk about the backstage inner workings of the business. I thrive on it. So anyway, she knows a lot about the business in only like the last 2 years. Probably more than she would like to. But, so, like I said, I have no problem talking wrestling. Shoot me a question anytime. I'll gladly answer that question. But, where can I find you? Where can I chat you up, bro? Like, where's the best place to get a hold of Eric Stanton? Well, I'm gonna tell you. You can follow me on Twitter at ShootEricShoot. You can find me on Instagram at ShootStantonShoot. You can find me on Facebook at ShootStantonShoot. You can even find my blog at shootstantonshoot.wordpress.com. And if you don't want to talk to me, you want to talk to one of the other guys from Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast, you can check us out on Twitter at Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Then, of course, you're sitting there wondering, where can I listen to the show? Where can I listen to your show next week? Or for whatever reason, I won't have access. Yeah, my Google Play subscription is expiring and I won't have Google Play next month. How can I listen? Well, there's iTunes, there's Google Play, there's SoundCloud, there's Stitcher, there's YouTube, or there's directly off the website, tappedOutWrestlingPodcast.com, where you can just download the episode to your computer and listen to it there. Or download it into an MP3 or, whatever hip lingo thing you're doing now. Are MP3 still a thing? Or is there new things? Is technology moved past me now? Are we done? No? Yeah? Still MP3s? That's still a thing, right? Okay, MP3s are still a thing. Good. I haven't fallen that far behind. You gotta check every now and again. You just gotta take stock of your life. Anyway. But it looks like I'm out of bullets. So it's time to reload, and I'll see you all next week.